All right, so I'm gonna go over my Week 14 predictions and the games of Week 14 plus Sunday Night Football and Monday Night Football. Monday Night Football just ended with the Bengals beating the Cowboys. But I'm gonna go over. I'm gonna go over the freaking. Let's see. You know what? First, I'm gonna talk about the Bengals and the Cowboys game. So the Bengals, they. How can I say it? They survived the Dallas Cowboys. I wasn't really all that impressed with how the Bengals played, even though it was a tight game for the most part. It was a competitive game for the most part, but I don't see how they had problems with beating the Cowboys with Cooper Rush at quarterback. That to me is. I mean, I know the Bengals defense is terrible. I mean, but Cooper Rush, you know, I don't know if they're going to get rid of Zach Taylor or whatnot. I really don't know, but the Bengals, they got to do something. I don't think, like, by next year, I don't think they're going to be all that exciting to watch next year. I mean, not be all exciting to watch, but I don't think that they're going to be as dangerous as most people are anticipating, as how they have been in the past. Well, Joe Burrow's first couple years in the league. I think the Bengals has just been getting by lately. They just not even lately. Like when they went to the Super Bowl, they went to the AFC Championship. I don't see the Bengals doing anything more than that anymore. Like I don't think the Bengals is going to be one of the top teams in the AFC anymore. I think their time of what they did is done. So I didn't watch all of the game. I watched half of it, but I will watch it again. Like I have NFL Sunday tickets, so I can rewatch the entire NFL season whenever whenever I want to, whenever I get a chance, which I will. You know, just to refresh my memory of these certain players, of how they played, and see who might, you know, so I can just get more familiar with this season, and it can translate to next year, you know, and I can just, the more games I watch throughout the course of NFL history, the more knowledge I will gain, and the more I will get a better of an understanding of the game that I even, on top of what I know now. But, I mean, Joe Burrow, he played an okay game. His stats, I mean, obviously he threw for almost 400 yards, 33 completions out of 44 attempts, 369 yards, 3 touchdowns, 1 interception. That's what Joe Burrow does week in, week out. I mean, Cincinnati loves throwing the ball. They're going to throw 50 times a game. So, I mean, you're throwing as many times as that, you're going to put up that stats. And so I think people, they look at Joe Burrow's stats and they take away how big of an impact Jamar Chase has on Joe Burrow's game. The Cincinnati Bengals, they throw too much. They throw a lot. And I think that they're always going to be depending on that. Just throwing. And they think that's going to help them to win games. And it's not. It's not. I know I do like the running back that they had, Chase Brown. I think he's pretty solid. I think he did pretty good. I think he's starting to step in and starting to fold into the running game. He had 14 carries for 58 yards. He had no touchdowns. His longest carry was 10 yards, but that's efficient. And then that's efficient for an offense that does not go through. That's not a run first offense. That's pretty efficient for an offense that just loves to pass the ball. And he was really effective in the receiving game as well. 6 catches for 65 yards. His longest reception was 19 yards, and he had a touchdown. He was targeted 8 times. The only person that was targeted more than him was Jamar Chase for 14 receptions, 177 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Jamar Chase was targeted 18 times. His longest reception was that 40-yard touchdown bomb, and he was averaging 12.6 yards per catch. Jamar Chase is a dangerous wide receiver. I mean, he is without a doubt the best wide receiver in the NFL right now. I mean, you know, I will always say it's Justin Jefferson, but right now, as we speak, in this season, is Jamar Chase has it's not even close. Jamar Chase has had a career season. He's. I mean, I'm surprised he wasn't even in the talks of MVP. Joe Burrow was. I'm surprised Jamar Chase was. Jamar Chase was a huge reason why Joe Burrow was doing what Joe Burrow's doing. I honestly don't think that Joe Burrow is going to be this phenomenal in time. I really don't, to be honest with you. I think that it really depends on how long he's going to have Chase. But when T. Higgins leave, even though T. Higgins was a no factor, 2 catches for 23 yards, and T. Higgins wasn't really a no factor throughout the course of the year, for real, but it's hard to cover two number one wide receivers. So you're gonna pick your poison. So I mean, I think that when T. Higgins leave, I don't think that I think Jamar Chase is going to be contained a little bit. He's still going to eat, but I don't think that I just don't think I always say that I feel like Joe Burrow's an overrated quarterback, and I've never seen a quarterback get so much love off what he did his first few years in the league, and then it's like after that it's like whatever. I mean, are we not going to take into consideration that will Joe Burrow still be doing this if he didn't have Chase? Like half of Joe Burrow's stats goes right to Chase. Now, with that being said, on the contrary, he could, because I was taking that consideration with Brock Purdy. I was like, you know, but I've seen, but Brock Purdy is a different story. I mean, well, he's not. They're kind of the same. I think that Joe Burrow does no more than what Brock Purdy does, and Brock Purdy has earned my respect because I've seen him play well outside of his talent getting hurt. And so I mean, he still has Kyle Shanahan, but it's a great coach. So I mean, you know, you can't knock a player from having a great coach. But what I will say is that when you rate these players, you got to take into consideration who they have, who's coaching them, the situation they're in. You got to take that consideration too. And so I just never. It's hard for me to say Joe Burrow is a top 3, top 4 quarterback. Top 5 I will live with. Top 4 quarterback, and I haven't seen him I haven't seen him do anything without Jamar Chase. I just haven't seen it. And sometimes quarterbacks, they can play well without their weapons, and sometimes they can't. I mean, look at Jalen Hurts. He's a prime example. I love Jalen Hurts. I think Jalen Hurts is a phenomenal player. He's a really good quarterback. Is he a great quarterback? No. Is he a top 5 quarterback? No. And I've had Jalen Hurts in my top 5 one time. I had him in my top 5 after the Super Bowl year. I was like, you know what? How he played in the Super Bowl, he's a top 5 quarterback. I actually had him as a top 2. I actually had him in my top 2 quarterback. I actually had him as a top 2 quarterback. I wrote about it. And I just watched how he plays, and then I watched how he plays without his weapons, and I'm like, he's not a top 5 quarterback. A quarterback to me is, I want to see if you can still at least produce and be efficient and play well outside of your weapons. Like, everybody knocks Justin Herbert, but Justin Herbert, he plays well with no weapons. And his number one weapon was Ladd Conkley, a rookie wide receiver. Is it all Ladd, or is it Justin Herbert who makes Ladd look as good as he is? You know what I'm saying? But don't get me wrong, Ladd is a really good wide receiver. But what I'm saying is though, that you have a quarterback like Justin Herbert, he's just going to make you a little bit even better than what you already are. Look at Mike Williams. Look at Keenan Allen. Keenan Allen is a great wide receiver without a doubt by himself, period. Look what he did with Phillip Rivers. Look what he did with Justin Herbert. But now he has Caleb Williams. Keenan Allen has deteriorated significantly. So that's what I'm saying. And so Justin Herbert, he eats, he plays well, he's efficient outside of his weapons. People want to knock him about the wins. He's winning right now. He's 8-5. He lost to the Chiefs. He lost to the Chiefs by 2 points. Now I would say this about Justin Herbert, and I don't want to talk too much about this because I'm going to go on to Sunday Night Football, and talk about that game. But he there's a lot of room for growth for Justin Herbert, even though I still have him in my top 5 and over Joe Burrow. But Joe Burrow, like I said, that he put up he lit up the stat board. Cooper Rush was 16 for 31, 183 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 INT. Let's see, they had a really good, solid rushing game with Rico Dowdle, 18 rushes, 131 yards. He had no touchdowns. Cavante Turpin, he is really, really stepping it up in the receiving game. He is starting to turn into a wide receiver, and even though he only had one catch for 16 yards, but he's starting to mold into a number two. I think he could be a number two next year. I really do. He's starting to become a really good player, and I mean he's dangerous in the return game as well. He is starting to become a weapon for the Dallas Cowboys. He really is. He had 2 rushes for 15 yards as well. So I mean they're even using him in the rushing game. So that's solid. So that's it. I mean, let's see here. Yeah, Michael Parsons, he was pretty effective in the rushing game, in the pass rush. He was pretty effective, but he wasn't effective enough. And that's about it. That's all I'm gonna go for with that. Yeah, the Cincinnati Bengals, they beat the Dallas Cowboys 27-20. All right, so let's go. Let's go into the Chargers and the Chiefs, man. So so this game, I mean, oh, and another thing, I forgot to freaking do my predictions for Monday Night Football. I That's my buzz. I was looking. I was like, whoa, where's my predictions for the Cincinnati Bengals in the Dallas Cowboys? And then I literally forgot to do my predictions for them. So I would have I now to be honest with you, I would have picked the Bengals to win this game. I would have picked them to win this game. I don't know what the score would have been. I think I would have picked the Bengals to have like put up 30. I think I would have had them like maybe like 29 to like I would have said I probably would have said 29 and 25 or something like that. So they won 27-20. I would have said 29 and 25. So, but yeah, there was a time in the game where I thought that the Cowboys could have won, and I really think they really actually should have won, but they messed up on that punt. I mean, they had a block punt, and then he touched the ball. So you touch the ball, if the other team recovers the ball, it's the team's ball, and the Cowboys they couldn't capitalize on that. So that was bad. But so the I said the Chargers was going to win this game 27-17. So I was a little bit off. I mean, the Chiefs won 19-17. So, I mean, I was kind of right about how many points the Chiefs was going to put up, but I was way off by how many points the Chargers was going to put up. I was 10 points off by the Chiefs. And, yeah, 10 points off by the Chargers. I was 2 points off by the Chiefs. So, not that big of a margin, but I put too much faith into the Chargers offense. I put way too much faith into the offense, man. And, I think that our offense did show up. The whole team, we played very well in the second half. We played very well in the fourth quarter. Outside of that stupid mistake that Cameron Dicker did with the kicking the ball 40 yards, and giving the Chiefs the ball on the 40-yard line, bro. Come on. Of course they're going to be able to. You put them in like that is the stuff that the Chargers, that Jim Harbaugh really is going to have to like get out of the Chargers for us to be a winning team, because in this is Jim Harbaugh's first year, but it's going to take a lot of work for Jim Harbaugh to remove this chargering culture from the Chargers. Like those aren't things that you do in the critical moments of the game, bro. Like, come on, Cameron Dicker. Like, that's the thing. Like that's the thing that infuriates Charger fans, because Charger fans, they know that the Chargers has been doing these things since the beginning of the franchise, outside of Marty Schottenheimer's tenure with the Chargers. Outside of that, the Chargers have always found ways to lose games, always, and it's so annoying. It's so annoying. Like that game, like who's to say that if we would have just did a touchback? Who's to say that Patrick Mahomes would have drove the ball all the way down the field? Because he really was struggling doing that. He made a couple plays here and there, but they didn't really have to do that much. They didn't have that much to. They had a lot to work with. So I mean, bro, like you literally gave them that, and like that's what I'm saying. It's like, and this is why I have a lot of faith in the Chargers because of Jim Harbaugh, but. I keep forgetting how terrible of a franchise the Chargers are. Like the way the players they play this game, they don't know how to win. And it's going to take a lot for Jim Harbaugh to do that. Jim Harbaugh is probably going to have to get rid of some players in the offseason because you just are not the type of player you're not the type of Harbaugh player. You don't fit into this program. I mean, what Dicker did was ridiculous. And Deion Henley, he's a good linebacker. He stepped it up this year. Now he's a green dot linebacker. He's calling the defensive plays. He's the leader of our defense. That is phenomenal. I really love to see. I really love to see how big of a leap Deion Henley took, into this year. He's a very athletic linebacker. He's a really good run stopper. But again, if you are going to be if you're going to be a leader, if you are going to be a hardball player, if we are going to be a winning team, you got to make that tackle on Patrick Mahomes. You can't get dissed by Patrick Mahomes like that. You just can't, bro. Like that, those are things that cannot happen in the critical moments of the game when the game is on the line. You got to make that tackle. You got to. And I know you can because you didn't get juked by was it Isaiah? No, it was by DeAndre Hopkins. DeAndre Hopkins tried to juke you and you didn't bite on it. You tackled. You made him fall down. You tackled him. How can you not do that with Patrick Mahomes? That's what I'm saying. Like the Chargers still does not know how to win. They still don't know how to win. Like, we talking about dethroning the Chiefs and we're talking about going to the playoffs and winning the Super Bowl and yada, yada, yada. It's not going to happen until we learn how to win games. And I can't, keep predicting the Chargers to win games when they don't know how to win games. And I'm thinking that they do know how to win games now because of Jim Harbaugh. Right now, they're showing me they don't know how to win. Even though our record is 8-5, and I felt like we would probably be 5-8 with Brandon Staley or something like that. But still, these are games that we should be winning. When we should have beat the Cardinals. That should have been a one. We should have beat the Ravens. The Ravens dominated us on that. I can't even talk about the Ravens on that one. Outside of the Ravens, we should only have one loss. All those other losses that we had, we shot ourselves in the foot. It was dumb mistakes. Terrible mistakes. Now, the Pittsburgh Steelers, here and there, not really, But outside of that, man, we're shooting ourselves in the foot, man. And I know Jim Harbaugh's going to get that together. I know he's going to fix that. This is his first year, and he's made a huge change already. And this is just the beginning. This is just the beginning for the Chargers and what Jim Harbaugh is fixing for us. So, I mean, Justin Herbert was 20. He was pretty efficient. He was 21-30, 213 yards, 1 touchdown. And I'm talking about I'm talking about the Chargers finding ways to lose and everything, and not stepping up in big moments, not knowing how to win. Now, Justin Herbert, I always talk about Justin Herbert. He was the best. I always say he's the best quarterback in the league. I think he's the best pure passing quarterback, pocket passing quarterback in the league. However, I have been seeing some things in Justin Herbert that really bothers me, and that's him overthrowing his players, his receivers, wide open wide receivers. I think the first time I saw that it was the Ravens game. I think it was the Ravens game, and he just overthrew Joshua Palmer, and I'm like, come on, bro. that was a touchdown, and you overthrew him. I think it was Joshua Palmer, and this game, he missed Joshua Palmer twice. He overthrew Joshua Palmer once. That we could, if he would have connected on that, we could have beaten the Chiefs. And then there was another time where he did not connect on Joshua Palmer. And Joshua Palmer did a really great move on, I think it was McDuffie. And Justin Herbert, he threw to the outside, and Justin Palmer's on the inside. He put a move in the inside, and Justin Herbert, he just missed him. And I'm like, those are things that bothers me. Like, you got to make those throws. Justin Herbert missed some throws, and he missed the throws that he missed. They could have been touchdowns, and I know he missed some other throws too, but those were the two big ones that I saw. We left 14 points on the scoreboard. I know Chad Ochocinco was talking about that I think that Justin Herbert overthrew twice, or there was one other throw that he missed that could have been a touchdown. So I can't remember what that throw was, but I do know the first one he was talking about with Joshua Palmer. So that's bothering me, because I know Justin Herbert has a powerful arm, but you gotta put some touch on that, bro. You gotta at least let it float, let your receiver get under the ball, catch it. You know what I'm saying? Don't overthrow him like that. I mean Justin Herbert didn't even step into the throw; he just launched it. So he has a very powerful arm, but it's like, bro, like, having a powerful arm isn't always a good thing. Like, I coach Little League flag football, and I have this kid, really great quarterback, and he has a very powerful arm too. This kid is only 6 years old, and he throws missiles. Like, I don't know how that kid's arm is that powerful. And I think some people are just born with it. Like, Justin Herbert, he was obviously just born with that arm. But I told him, the kid's throwing missiles, and he has like wide open wide receivers, and he's throwing missiles at him, like he's just launching it. I'm like, bro, you have a really great arm. You're a really good quarterback. But you put a little bit of touch on that ball. Make your balls catchable, bro. Like, when you see a wide open wide receiver, you don't have to launch it. You know what I'm saying? You don't have to do that. He's right there. He's running a 5-yard hitch. Just, put some touch on it. When you see him running deep, you put a little power to it, but you also got to put a little touch on it. Let it float. Throw a beautiful pass. You know what I'm saying? So, most of the time you really want to launch the ball if you're throwing it into double coverage, or you're trying to squeeze it into a window or stuff like that, but or short yardage or stuff like that. But your receiver is covered, but you don't freaking launch it like that when your receiver is wide open. And I saw Justin Herbert. He didn't even step into the throw. He just launched it, man, and he still overthrew him. That was wild. I know some people were trying to say, "Oh, Joshua Palmer is slow, yada yada yada," but still, man, that's on Justin Herbert. That's Justin Herbert's fault. It doesn't matter if Joshua Palmer is slow or not. He overthrew him, and I'm being critical, and I'm being honest. I got to be honest with you. This is my platform all day. I am probably the biggest Justin Herbert fan in this entire world. I don't meet too many big Justin Herbert fans. I don't meet too many Justin Herbert fans anyway. So I think I am the biggest Justin Herbert fan in the entire world. But I wouldn't be honest, and I'll be completely biased if I were to just keep letting that. If I were just to let that ride and not say anything, be like, "Oh, Justin Herbert, he played well, he did yada yada yada," and then try to come up with excuses. I'm not gonna do that like how these biased analysts do. These analysts, they pick who they like, and then no matter how that player plays, they're going to just find excuses why that player is still good. Like Nick Wright, he does that crap all the time. Like, I can't stand Nick Wright's takes. It's like you can just sit there and just know that he's just coming up with lame excuses for players that he likes, that he knocks players that he don't like, and then if the players that he don't like, they play well, he will still come up with reasons or whatever and talk about like, oh, yada yada yada. This is why he's not good. Like he did like Brock Purdy. Brock Purdy's playing well. He still won't give Brock Purdy his flowers. He is just now giving Josh Allen his flowers. So you know what I'm saying? Like I can't stand analysts like that. Analysts that do that, they're just not credible analysts. Like they're just not credible because they're biased. On a lot of them, like on the facility, I see how biased they are with their takes. Like how sometimes Shady McCoy, he's biased with his takes. How Ocho is, how James Jones be sometimes. Like how a lot of them are. Like Joy Taylor, she's biased with her takes. Like there are a lot of them are like so biased with their takes, and it's annoying. But I'm not gonna do that. I mean, so I'm just gonna be honest. I think Justin Herbert can get it fixed because one thing I do like about Justin Herbert is that he he holds himself accountable and he takes ownership of what he does, and he's still very young. I honestly feel like he's actually playing better ball than he's did in his previous years. But outside of those overthrows, he's playing phenomenal. He's playing really great ball. His stats doesn't show it, but he is playing very, very well. And he has shown me a lot. What I've already known what he can do, but he's showing me a lot. He's efficient, minus his weapons, minus him having Mike Williams and Keenan Allen, Austin Eckler. He is efficient, man, and I love it. I love it. I mean, people were saying that we didn't have any weapons early this year, and his weapons that he had when people were saying we didn't have, they go down. Will Disley, McConkey, J.K. Dobbins, they go down, and he still was efficient. Outside of those wide open throws, he has been really, really well. Played very, very well. So I love that. Gus Edwards, he had an okay night. He had 10 carries, 36 yards, and a touchdown. Isaac Pacheco, 14 carries, 55 yards. Isaac Pacheco, that's a really good running back. I like Isaac Pacheco. I love how violent of a runner he is. He's probably the most violent runner in the entire NFL, to be honest with you. Joshua Palmer, 6 catches, 78 yards. With Travis Kelce was 5 catches for 45 yards. So that's that. I mean, the Chiefs is going to have to get it. Going to have to learn how to. Going to have to protect Patrick Mahomes, man, or else he's going to end up getting hurt. They got a long ways to go till they go to the Super Bowl, and they don't want freaking. They don't want him to get hurt, man. Let's see here. Is there anything else? I would like to go over on this game? Let's see. The Chiefs, they did put a lot of pressure on Justin Herbert 5 times and 26 dropbacks. And that's when they didn't blitz. So he did pick them apart in the second half. Patrick Mahomes can thrive when he has to get rid of the ball quickly, as he did against the Chargers, because of lousy pass protection. Patrick Mahomes he's Patrick Mahomes, man. I mean, Patrick Mahomes was 14 of 15 for 97 yards and a 9 touchdown pass that DeAndre Hopkins was throwing within 2.5 seconds in the first half alone. So the Chiefs, they did struggle in the second half. Now that's the thing. It said the Chiefs, for the 3rd straight week, allowed their opponent to rally from a double-digit second half deficit. The Chiefs shut out the Chargers in the first half, but Herbert took the Los Angeles on scoring drives on each one of his first 3 possessions in the second half. That's what the Chargers did. That's what Justin Herbert did, and that is great, because the Chargers don't do that. They're not a second. They're not known to be a second half team, let alone fourth quarter team. Nobody's talking about that, though. Nobody's talking about what Justin Herbert did in the second half, in the fourth quarter. So I think Brew did on I think his first take, or First Things First. He did. I can't remember the name of that show, but he did. So that's something the Chargers can build upon, because and definitely Justin Herbert, because he came back and he showed out and he showed up. And I love that. I loved how they were surprising me, how they came out and they started scoring. So they were playing aggressive. That's how the Chargers has to play. Jim Harbaugh even said it when he was coming out from the halftime, and and the lady was asking him. Not the announcer, but one of the interviewers. She was asking him. He just straight up told her. He's like, just stay aggressive, stay aggressive. That is what Jim Harbaugh is teaching, is coaching us, is coaching those players. And that's how they played when they came out. Aggressive, man. Gus Edwards started breaking through tackles, running through the middle. I love that. That's what the Chargers want. That's Jim Harbaugh football. And that's how Jim Harbaugh is going to start having them play week in, week out, all 4 quarters. So that's something that people have to take into consideration about the Chiefs, though. They have been struggling in the second half, and they've been letting teams come back in the second half. Come on, man. That's not going to happen when they're playing. Then that's not going to happen in the playoffs. So people like to say, people were like, oh, they win it when it's in the critical moments when they have to. They do, because their defense keeps them in games. It's not all Patrick Mahomes. Patrick Mahomes is able to be clutch because his defense kept him in the game long enough for him to be clutch at the last few minutes of the game. That's why Patrick Mahomes. That's why he's able to do what he's doing. That's why the Chiefs is winning. But Patrick Mahomes gets all the credit. The Chiefs' defense has kept them relevant and has kept them as champions for the past 2 years. If the Chiefs' defense was not as great as it has been, they would not have been winning like this. They wouldn't. And Patrick Mahomes will be looked at as being very bad. But people gives him a pass because he's winning. Patrick Mahomes has not been playing all this year. Now, I will give him a pass next year because last year because his receivers was terrible last year. And he wasn't playing that bad of game. But this year, he's having some games that were bad. Since DeAndre Hopkins came, he's been playing okay. But he's been playing bad this year. So, yeah, so let's see. The Chargers came into this game tied for 29th in the NFL in second half scoring. They didn't score a touchdown in a 17-13 win over the Falcons last Sunday. So, dude, that's crazy. We didn't even score a touchdown in that game. He gave us that pick six. That was the only score that day and kept the Chargers afloat. That's something that the Chargers are going to have to fix. And I think they did that in the second half. We're going to have to keep getting better, man. And they're asking a lot from Justin Herbert. They're asking a lot from him, because we don't like to pass to our running backs, and we don't really have a deep threat, even though Justin Herbert did overthrow Joshua Palmer. But we're setting ourselves up by us being complacent with our offense. We're not going to win games like that. And Jim Harbaugh is going to have to get it. He's going to have to understand that and realize that. We don't have the best play caller in the game. We don't in the world. And we don't have the best wide receivers in the world. I don't like when the front office is complacent with who they have. Like, if you want to win, get the personnel for us to win. So after being shut in the first half, the Chargers scored 14 points in the third quarter. That's the most they've scored in the third all season. That's great. That's good to know. But it wasn't enough still. No, it was not. So it's like our offense could hold us back in the playoffs. I don't think it will, but it can. Johnston, his first catch of the game came on a 21-yard reception that he held out despite a thundering hit from safety Nick Bolton. Yeah, Nick Bolton was flagged for unnecessary roughness. Johnston, he caught 5 passes for 48 yards and a touchdown. So, yeah, it's pretty solid. So the Chiefs, they got the Browns next week. The Chargers got the Buccaneers next week. Ladd McConkey may be back. The Chargers may score their most points of any game next week going against the Buccaneers. They may. All right. So the next game, Rams, Buffalo. I was wrong on so many games this week too. So many games. I think this is the first week that I've been wrong on more games than any. And so there's no excuse. I was just wrong. Like I said, I'm probably being wrong, man, and I'll admit when I'm wrong. I will admit when I'm wrong. Let's say the Rams. I said that the Rams. I think I said the Buffalo. I think I said the Bills was going to win this game, and I was getting a little nervous because I was like, "Oh snap!" No, I said. Hey, let's see. Buffalo Bills and the Rams. Okay, yeah, I said the Bills was going to. Yeah, I said the Bills was going to win this game, 34-27. So, yeah, the Bills lost this game, and they lost this game 44-42.
So let's see. So this was a very high scoring game. I wasn't really too surprised by how high scored the game was because they both have. I mean, the Bills doesn't really have an elite offense, but they have an elite quarterback in Josh Allen. But I mean, so the Rams, they beat them 44-42. Really very close game. They did get help from special teams, but Los Angeles 44 points was the most their season. This is the high-powered offense the Rams believed they had entering the season before the unit was quickly hit with injuries. They shredded the Bills for 457 total yards on 9 possessions. And that's with a very healthy unit. If they can stay healthy, that's what they're going to do. But that's the thing. The Rams are not they're not a resilient team when it comes to injuries. So it's just a matter of time before Cooper Kupp or Puka Nacua gets hurt again. And Puka Nacua was kind of shaken up a little bit last night as well. He was. I mean, the receivers, they get hurt a lot. The Rams were 11 of 15 on third down against the Bills. And that's where they struggled out most on third downs. And entering Sunday, they were converting third downs 33% of the time, which was the third worst rate in the NFL. So they weren't really well on converting on third downs. Yeah. The Bills allowed scores on 6 of 9 possessions. The run defense allowed 94 rushing yards in the first half, while the team's leading 14-game streak with at least one takeaway ended. So they didn't get any turnovers. The Bills pressured Stafford on 30% of throws, but it wasn't enough as he consistently found receivers downfield. So, So, let's see here. The Bills did get a block punt for a touchdown in the second quarter. That made a huge difference. That was the first time the Bills had a punt blocked since week 14 of 2022. So, Josh Allen is the second player in NFL history to record 3 passing touchdowns and 3 rushing touchdowns in a game. So he joins Hall of Famer Otto Graham, who pulled off defeat in the Browns' 56-10 NFL championship game victory over the Lions in 1954. So Josh Allen continued to break records. So will Josh Allen be an MVP? Do I think he should be MVP? If Saquon Barkley can't get it, why shouldn't Josh Allen get it? I mean, it's a crime if you don't give it to Josh. If Saquon Barkley doesn't get it, it's a crime if you don't give it to Josh Allen. Lamar Jackson was up there. Lamar Jackson fell off. Derrick Henry was up there. He kind of fell off. So, I honestly would like to see Saquon. I honestly feel like Saquon Barkley should get it. But I know a lot of people is going to uproar about Josh Allen getting it. I'm not mad. I wouldn't be mad if Josh Allen doesn't get it. If Josh Allen gets it, I wouldn't be mad about it. He's doing his thing. I mean, I hate when people are saying he doesn't have any receivers. He actually kind of does have some pretty good receivers. They're just underrated receivers. I think the guy named Shakur, he's a good receiver. Keon Coleman, he's all right, rookie wide receiver. And then they got Amari Cooper. He has some weapons, and he has a hell of an offensive line. That's something that people don't like to take in consideration. He has a really, really great offensive line. I don't know. I think he has probably the best passing offensive line in the NFL, pass protection in the NFL. So people don't like to take that in consideration though. But whatever, man. So it's not all Josh Allen. He's just getting some help. Same for Saquon Barkley. Saquon Barkley has a really good offensive line as well. So, but still, don't want to take away what they're doing. They're doing a great job. I think Saquon Barkley should get it. If not Saquon, then Josh Allen, obviously. The Rams, have the 49ers next. That should be a really good game, especially with how the 49ers are playing now. And the Bills, they got the Lions next. So, all right, so we got the Seattle Seahawks at the Arizona Cardinals. I was so wrong about this game. I said that the Seahawks was going to... No, I said the Cardinals was going to win this game 27-25. See, I said this before, earlier this year. I'm like, yo, the Cardinals are so inconsistent, man. They will play well one week and then they will bomb it the next. They had the little stretch of them playing well, and now they're like, what the hell? And Kyler Murray, he's so inconsistent. Give me 1 second because my laptop is about to die, and I don't want it to die. Kyler Murray, man, he's a talented player, very talented quarterback, probably the fastest quarterback in the entire NFL. But he's inconsistent. He. I don't know what to say about Kyler Murray, but outside of me just keep being redundant, saying he's an inconsistent player, and he's not good. He's not a good passer. I mean, you got Marvin Harrison Jr. there, and I don't think the problem is Marvin Harrison. I think the problem is Kyler Murray. Kyler Murray ain't it. He's not a good quarterback. He's just not. It's obvious he's not a good passer. It's obvious. I could only imagine what Marvin Harrison Jr. could do with Justin Herbert. And a lot of people are like, man, what's going on with Marvin Harrison? It's Kyler Murray. Kyler Murray can't get the ball to him. He won't get the ball to him. I don't think Kyler Murray is seeing the field good. And a lot of people aren't talking about them. You know? I never thought Kyler Murray was good. I'm online. I did. Because I did want the Chargers to draft him coming out of Oklahoma. But he's not it, man. Kyler Murray, he's talented. He's very, very talented. He's one of the most talented athletes, to ever step foot in the NFL. But he's not a good quarterback. He's just not. He's an athletic quarterback, but he's not talented, man. And I don't think he ever will be good. I don't think he ever will be. And I think there will be a time when when the Cardinals move on from him. I do think that there's going to be a time when they do that. It's either they do that or they're going to draft another quarterback for competition. It's going to be either that, one or the other. I wouldn't resign Kyler Murray I wouldn't sign him to a big contract if I was a general manager. I wouldn't. He hasn't shown me enough. That's just me. Seattle beat Arizona 30-18, and so let's see here. I was pretty big on the Seahawks coming into this season. They now lead Arizona by 2 games, and they hold the tiebreaker, while the Rams, whom Seattle plays in Week 18, are a game behind. So it's probably gonna be between the Rams and the Seahawks. Let's see here. The Seahawks odds are now 64% to make the playoffs and 62% to win the NFC West. Winning the division could set up a wild card rematch at home versus either Green Bay or Minnesota. I don't see them winning either one of those games. I don't. They're going to beat that if that happens in the rematch. Seattle's run game came alive despite not having Kenneth Walker III. That's phenomenal. The Seahawks entered Sunday averaging 90.5 rushing yards per game and 4.1 per carry, but even without their back, they exploded for 176 yards and averaged 5.7 yards per carry. Zach Charbonnet led the way with 134 yards and 2 touchdowns. That's promising. That's awesome. Without Kenneth Walker, that's great, man. That's how you're going to win games going into the postseason, by pounding the rock and playing great defense. So Geno Smith, he's patient. Checkdowns and other short throws were often there, and he was 24-30, 233 yards, 1 touchdown. He repeatedly took them since. Let's see here. What it says. Oh yeah, Smith has 13 interceptions on the year, but none in the past 2. So he has been turning. He has switched up, turning the ball over. He was turning the ball over a lot this season, but the past 2 games, he simmered those turnovers down, and he's playing very efficient, very well football. The Bills' next game was against the Lions. That's going to be an awesome game. Everybody's going to be watching that game. Bills and there's just a lot of great games next week, and I can't wait to do my predictions next week. A lot of great games. This is another good game. The Seahawks has the Packers on Sunday Night Football. That's going to be a great game. It's crunch time for some of these teams, man. Let's see here. Is there anything to talk about with the Cardinals? Kyler Murray threw 2 interceptions on Sunday, marking the first time in his career he threw multiple interceptions in consecutive games, both of which were losses. Their Arizona's defense was terrible. Tyler McBride didn't get his first catch of the game until pretty much 5 minutes left in the third quarter. He was coming off a 3-game stretch of 71, 133, and 96 yards, respectively. And he eventually finished with 7 catches for 70 yards. I don't know. I mean, the Cardinals, they're done. They're not going to the playoffs. They're not going to the playoffs, and if they do, they're going to get booted out the first round. You know, like I said, they're very, very inconsistent team. Very inconsistent. And Kyler Murray ain't it. So the Cardinals, their next game is against the Patriots, and like I said, the Seahawks next game Sunday Night Football against the Packers. Let's move on. We got the 49ers and Chicago Bears. I was so wrong about this game. Okay, and it's fine. It's fine. I said that the Bears was going to win 37-10. You know the funny thing about this though, even though I said that the Bears was going to win 37-10, I was kind of still right about the score. I was just wrong about the team. The 49ers won 38-13. I said the Bears is going to win 37-10. So I mean, I wasn't too far off. Just wrong about the teams. Let's see. The Niners, for the first time this year, man, they looked like that juggernaut team that they were supposed to have looked. You know, and that's phenomenal. I mean, that's even without Christian McCaffrey. Brock Purdy, he has stepped up. He's doing his thing. He's proving that he can be a franchise quarterback. He's proving that he can be a quarterback without his weapons. That's what Brock Purdy has proven to me, and that's what he should be proving to everybody else. And it's time for everybody to give Brock Purdy his flowers. He's a good quarterback. He's a really good quarterback. He is a top 10 quarterback. You know, maybe arguably top 7. You know, so I mean, yeah, arguably top 7. Let's see here. So the Rams, they're going to have to beat the 49ers are going to have to beat the Rams on Thursday. That's going to be an exciting game because both teams can afford to lose that game. Both teams need that win for them to make it to the playoffs. And it's funny because the 49ers can still make it. So like if the 49ers can beat the Rams on Thursday, it can still give them hope to make it into the playoffs. Running back Isaac Guerrero, the rookie, he made his first start in place of Christian McCaffrey and Jordan Madison, and he had 78 rushing yards and 15 carries for 2 touchdowns. It was a solid pass threat with 50 yards on 2 receptions. That's big. That's dope. That's when you have a rookie running back, third string running back step up that big in a game and beat a team. That's great. That is phenomenal. You know, I mean, that's what you want to see. That gives the 49ers big hope. If he can continue on with that, you know, and Jordan Mason come back, you know, that can definitely hold it, you know, while Christian McCaffrey is out for the season pretty much. but he did end up getting a fourth quarter foot injury. So he has a sprained foot, and he will undergo on an MRI on Monday. Well, at the same time, I mean, you go out there and you perform, but you can't get injured, though. You just killed your chances of you being a star, if you're getting more shots. That's disappointing. San Francisco was up 24-0 at halftime, and they posted 319 yards, the most by any NFL team in the opening 30-minute session. The Bears managed just 4 yards and fewest by any team in 2024. That was very lopsided. The 315-yard margin was the highest by a 49ers team in any half over the past 40 seasons. That's crazy. So they put up more points by any team in the opening 30 minutes of the season. That's wow. And teams put up some points and some yards. Okay, Brock Purdy, I see you, bro. You got my respect. You got my respect. The Bears, they I don't know. They looked terrible. They look terrible. I'm just going to be honest. And like I said, I choose them to go to the Super Bowl. They're not going. They're not even going to make the playoffs. Let's see. He had Roman Duze. He played well. He had 2 touchdowns. This is Chicago's 7th straight loss. And he didn't do anything after halftime. The 49ers hadn't scored 5 touchdowns in a single game this season until Sunday. Chicago had the number 1 red zone defense and allowed San Francisco to convert on 5 trips inside the 20. The 49ers sacked quarterback Caleb Williams 7 times and limited the Bears to 3.2 point yards per play. George Kittle, he had a pretty solid game. The defense they allowed 8 plays for 20-plus yards, for which were caught for the 49ers tight end. He became the 3rd tight end to record a 100-yard game on Chicago's defense this season. T.J. Hawkinson and Evan Ingram did that, which is the most such performances by any team through Week 14. The Bears is a disaster, man. I don't know who should be their head coach. At first, I was thinking Ben Johnson, but I don't know how much of a culture change Ben Johnson will be. How much of a winning coach he will be. Because we don't know. He's not a head coach. He's never been a head coach. He's only been an offensive coordinator. So, we don't know. I don't know. Maybe they should get Mike Vrabel. I just don't. I'm just not very confident with Mike Vrabel being with Caleb Williams. Now, the 49ers, they got the Rams next on Thursday Night Football. That's going to be a great game. And then the Bears, they got the Vikings. They got a rematch against the Vikings on Monday Night Football. All right, now we got the Pittsburgh Steelers and the Cleveland Browns. I think I was right about this game. I did say the Steelers was going to win 27-15. Oh, okay. I was very, very close on this game. I said 27-15. The Pittsburgh Steelers, they won 27-14. I think I've only been spot on right on one game this all year. That was one more game that could have been spot on perfect with the score. 27-14. What I tell y'all about Russell Wilson, man? I told y'all that Russell Wilson was going to do his thing. He's going to be great. I don't know what to say. Like I told you guys, I heard so much hate about Russell Wilson, but I knew that he was going. I knew that he was not washed up. I just knew he wasn't. He everybody wants to talk bad about him with Denver, but the thing about it was, we all know who his coach was, Steelers is aiming to win their first playoff game since 2016, and they're hosting their first playoff game since 2020. They have a championship caliber defense, leading the NFL in takeaways. The Browns had 3 turnovers on Sunday, and holding opponents to fewer than 19 points per game. And their offense has shown the ability to adjust and thrive with Russell Wilson at quarterback, of course. He struggled against Cleveland's pass rush early. Wilson shook off a rocky first half to throw 2 third-quarter touchdowns, and the Browns pressured Wilson on 39% of dropbacks in the first half. And they went 1 of 6 for -1 passing yards under pressure. In the second half, he went 3 of 5 for 61 yards under pressure, including 1 touchdown pass. So that's gonna be Dustin. It's phenomenal. So let's see what Cleveland Browns took a 7-3 lead in the first quarter. It looked like they had the formula to win their first regular season game against Pittsburgh since 2003, but that quickly evaporated. 7 miscues. Jameis Winston interception that led to Pittsburgh's first touchdown. The kicker Dustin Hopkins 2 missed tackle kicks. So Jameis Winston is still turning the ball over. Let's see. George Pickens, he didn't play, and so that's about it. That's about it. But the Steelers, their next game is against the Eagles. That's a game that out of all the good games that's gonna happen next week. That's the game I'm looking forward to. I'm looking forward to that game. I really am. That's gonna be the game of the week for me. Steelers and Eagles. I can't wait to see that game. And then the Browns has the Chiefs. That could be a trap game for the Chiefs. Myles Garrett could have a field goal day. And Patrick Mahomes, he's beat up right now. Like, we don't know anything about that, but I'm saying like Patrick Mahomes is gonna be going like they don't get that offensive line together, he's gonna keep taking a beating. So I don't think the Chiefs is gonna lose to the Browns, but they could. They very well could. All right, what we got next? We got the New Orleans Saints against the New York Giants. I said that the Saints was going to win 25-9. 25-9. I was right about the team. I was wrong about the score. So the Saints won 14-11. What a garbage game. The Saints have scored. They had to regroup. They didn't have Taysom Hill. Wait, the Saints just scored. He went on IR, ACL this week, and the Saints offense struggled against the Giants, particularly in the run game. The Saints have scored 26.8 points per game with Hill in the lineup versus just 15.2 without him. Yeah. They had their starting offensive line back, but they couldn't get anything going on the ground, with the exception of an 8-yard touchdown run, in which Kendre Miller was pushed into the end zone. They all combined, all these running backs, Jamal Williams, Alvin Kamara, they all combined 81 yards, and Kamara averaged only 2.6 yards per carry. The Saints, they were snapping on all cylinders, and they just all of a sudden just started sucking. Yeah. Giants, there's really nothing to talk about with the Giants. It's their 8th straight loss. They really find ways to lose. Game time. After their game time field goal attempt was blocked in the final seconds, this all reflects poorly on Dable. Dable might get fired, man. He might get fired for real. Yeah, I was rooting for Dable to keep his job, but I don't know. Drew Lock had 0 completions in his first 8 passes attempts. 2 of those 8 passes were drops, but it was still the most consecutive incompletions to start a home game since the Jets' Ken O'Brien on December 15, 1991 against the Patriots. And it only got us slightly better from there as Locke went 6 of 19 for 52 yards in the first half. Tree Hawkins III, he had a pretty big day. The second-year cornerback has been unburied on the depth chart all season. In fact, the Giants had recalled corners from the practice squad to play over Hawkins. He had the Giants' first interception since week 1. The first interception by a defensive back this season, and was an asset against the run before an injury in the fourth quarter. So he played well, and then he got injured. I mean, that's the thing. Like, you got these guys who are like buried in the depth chart. They come in and they play well, then they get injured. Like, bro, like, health is a big deal. Like, if you're a nobody. The Giants' next game is against the Commanders. No. The Saints' next game is against the Commanders. They should get probably beaten on that game. The Giants' next game is against the Ravens. They both should get a loss on that game. All right, next game. Let's move on. Let's go. The Eagles and the Panthers. So I said that the Eagles was going to win 34-19. They won 22-16. The Eagles' passing offense is a concern. They're going to have to get that taken care of. And they've been having some slow starts. The Eagles have been shut out in the first quarter in 10 of their 13 games this season, including this Sunday. They have scored a league low 17 points in the opening frame, which is unacceptable given the level of talent on the offensive side of the ball. To their credit, they make adjustments well and have often gone on to dominate games, but a high-quality team will eventually make them pay. Exactly. Like if they play against the Vikings or if they played against the Lions, it's not going to cut it. And so the Eagles, they're what's due to their slow offensive starts is their passing game. Is their inability of Jalen Hurts being able to pass the ball. And Jalen Hurts not seeing down the field, not seeing A.J. Brown when he's wide open. Jalen Hurts over there scrambling or trying to make runs when A.J. Brown is wide open. You have Smitty back and you got A.J. Brown. There should be no reason why they are slowly starting. The running game, it takes time for that to build up later on in the game. You're not going to always have the running game. Just go out there. You just start just snapping. You know what I'm saying? Jalen Hurts is going to have to get it together for them to make a run in the playoffs. I don't think the Eagles are. I don't think they're going to do it. I honestly think that the Vikings is going to end up making a run in NFC. That is probably, I think that is my team to go. You know, so I would have picked the Lions if they had a better defense. Their defense is starting to crumble on to me, and I think that's going to be the same scenario with the Chiefs. I think their defense is going to start to crumble, and I don't think the Eagles, because now they, like I said, they are able to make adjustments, but when they're playing an elite team, that's going to bite them in the butt. So they're going to have to get that together. Jalen Hurts is going to have to step it up. A.J. Brown, let's say, you know, because Saquon Barkley, he starts snapping later on in the game, which he's supposed to. You know, he's closing out the games for them. Saquon Barkley set a new franchise record for single-season rushing yards, moving past LeSean McCoy, who rushed for 1,607 yards in 2013. He took over first place midway through the fourth quarter and finished the game at 1,623 total yards. Let's see here. It was Barkley's ninth 100 rushing yard game this season, which is also the most in Eagles history. A.J. Brown was not targeted until moments of the second quarter. Let's see. After Barkley, Brown has been the team's top offensive player with 4 games of 100-plus receiving yards. He broke open a couple of different times early in the game, but the ball did not come his way. He showed some frustration as a result. Yes, he did. Bryce Young, he's finally proven that he's a franchise quarterback. Young, he did throw his first interception in 125 attempts, but, you know, the fact that this is being mentioned shows how well he has been playing. Exactly. That's another quarterback I told y'all about. I told y'all about Bryce Young. I told y'all about Russell Wilson. I'm telling y'all, man. The fact, I told y'all about my boy Sam Darnold. The fact that this is being mentioned shows how well he has been playing. More significantly, he went toe-to-toe against the NFL's best defense in a hostile environment. Young was a dropped touchdown catch by Xavier Legette, and that was away from getting them the win. So, yeah, the job is his next season. He's playing very well. He has stepped it up big time, and I love that, man. Love that. He's still going to have his bumps and rolls. He's still a young quarterback. So let's take it easy on these guys, on these quarterbacks. But he's showing that he can play in this league, and I love that, man. So let's see. They gave up too many big runs to Hurts, who had 6 rushes for 58 yards. and this is what they had. They have the league's worst run defense. The Panthers does. Close again for the let's say for the third straight week. The Panthers were in it until the end, and it was the second time in 3 weeks that it came against a top team. This shows how far Coach Dave Canales and his staff have come since the start of the season when Carolina went 1-7. That's phenomenal. I mean, it's good. It's good. It's good. It's showing improvement. They're closing out. Like I said before, like I told you guys, I was like, for some of these teams that's not going to make the playoffs, and for some of these teams that starts off the season is really terrible, or just had a really terrible season all year, I said, but like the last few games of the season, it's critical for the sorry teams to really play very well so they can bring that momentum on into next year. That's why I was saying, like, for some of these teams, their offseason starts now. And how their offseason starts now, you finish the season very strong. In the front office, you start making moves, you start doing more of their homework, really deep into the draft, looking to the Senior Bowl, yada, 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 free agency, who they're going to draft, who they're going to pick on free agent, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But you finish off the season very strong so you can know who's going to bring that tone setting, that momentum all into next year. So let's see here. Yeah, the Eagles, they got the Steelers next week, and the Panthers, they have the Cowboys next week. It's gonna be an interesting game between the Panthers and the Cowboys. So Minnesota and Atlanta. I said that the Vikings was going to win 34-30. And the Vikings won 42-21. I wasn't too far off. I wasn't too far off. Kind of, sort of, but not too far off. Sam Darnold, my boy Sam Darnold, threw for 5 touchdowns. They need to go ahead and pay my boy. You know what I'm saying? They signed him to a 1-year, $10 million contract in March. They need to go ahead and sign him to a bigger contract, man. Go ahead and want to make him. Go ahead and get him. I know you got J.J. McCarthy, but hey, J.J. McCarthy can sit behind Sam Darnold for a little bit. You don't gotta sign Sam Darnold to a huge contract. You can sign him to a 3-year contract. Have J.J. McCarthy sit out. He can sit out for a year or two, and then when Sam Darnold leaves, you can go ahead and play J.J. That's my opinion. I know a lot of people are thinking no, JJ needs to play. They're saying he played really well in the offseason, but he's still young and he just missed a whole year and he's going to come off an injury. So I feel like, man, Sam Darnold's playing well. Pay the man. Keep him there. He's bringing y'all to the playoffs. Sam Darnold is on. So let's see here. He caught the 5 best touchdown passes against the quarterback he replaced in Minnesota. He is on pace for a 4,036 touchdown season at age 27. At the very least, the Vikings are going to have a much more difficult set of conversations around their 2025 quarterback room than they were planning. Just pay him, bro. You don't have to pay J.J. McCarthy yet. Just pay Sam Darnold. Keep him there. And then, when the next time when it's time for Sam Darnold to leave and you think J.J. McCarthy got it, you can play J.J. McCarthy. You don't got to start J.J. McCarthy right away. Justin Jefferson and Jordan Addison combined to catch 15 passes for 265 yards in all 5 of Darnold's touchdown passes. That's becoming the second set of teammates in franchise history to each have 100 receiving yards and multiple scores in a game. The others were Hassan Jones and Steve Jordan in 1986. It's crazy. They're more than likely the best tandem in the league, Addison and Justin Jefferson. At first I was thinking it was probably Puka Cooper or Chase or Higgins, but Addison and Jordan Addison and freaking Justin Jefferson, they're the best, man. I think they're the best. They gotta be. 15 passes for 265 yards. And total 5 touchdowns. Jordan Addison had 3 touchdowns that game. That's crazy. Yeah, that's a dangerous receiving threat. You had one receiver who's not even your first string wide receiver have 3 touchdowns. Jordan Addison snapping off. That's my boy. You would see a loom right there. You would see a loom all over the field. Sam Darnold, Jordan Addison. Come on now. It's time for the Falcons to bench Kirk Cousins. He's thrown for 2 more picks. He's playing terrible. He's garbage, man. I told y'all about Kirk Cousins. I was just like, yo, he's going to get benched by week 5. I was wrong about when he's going to get benched, but he needs to go ahead and get benched. Now everybody talking about he needs to get benched. I told y'all. He's not good. He's overrated. He's always been overrated. Always. It was already a tough game for the Falcons to win on the road. And he just did not even play any better than he did last week. And they're probably going to keep him going as long as they're in the playoff picture, which is ridiculous. It's stupid. So you mean to tell me you're going to, even if you are going to make the playoffs, you're going to keep Kirk Cousins to play? Why? That makes absolutely no sense. He's garbage. He's playing terrible right now. The only reason why you guys are even in the playoffs is not because of him. It's because you're in a terrible division. That's the only reason. So why, even if you are going to make the playoffs, why would you still keep Kirk Cousins? You mean to tell me you're going to keep him to make the playoffs just for you to get booted out in the first round? That's dumb. Play Michael Penix. See what Michael Penix can give you. Give that man some playing time. You already know Michael Penix is the quarterback of the future. Definitely now. Play Michael Penix. See what he can do. Maybe he can even get y'all a playoff winner or 2. Maybe. Who knows? It's dumb. Kirk Cousins got to go. Got to go. The Falcons' defense stepped it up. It was pretty effective when they supposed to plays. And instead, quarterback threw for 5 touchdowns. They needed to do that Sunday against a team with a big play. Oh, yeah, they're just talking about, no, they were not. Because Kirk Cousins and Sam Darnold threw for 5 touchdowns. Okay, so the Vikings, they got the Bears next, and then the Falcons, they got the Raiders next. All right, we got the Jets and the Dolphins. I said that the Dolphins is going to win this game 25-15. They won 32-26. So they needed this win, and they got a little help to make their 3rd straight playoff appearance in order to make. But their performance Sunday inspired a little confidence that they'll be able to do so. 3 of their 4 remaining games are on the road, and their home game is against a 49ers team. Miami is still alive with a 13.8% chance at the playoffs, but it needs to play like his back is against the wall. Let's see here. They managed to win thanks to some overtime heroics. Tua and Jonnu Smith, but this did not look like a team with this season on the line. Jalen Ramsey allowed 131 yards and 5 catches on 7 targets as the nearest defender in coverage. In his defense, a large portion of those came on a 42-yard Garrett Wilson catch, during which Ramsey fell down. But it was a rough showing. Jalen Ramsey, he's falling off. Jalen Ramsey never been a good cover corner to me. He just always made good plays. That's terrible. You had 131 yards and 5 catches on 7 targets, and then you fall down getting burnt by Garrett Wilson. Come on, bro. This was Aaron Rodgers' first 300-yard performance in 35 games. The Jets, they played one of their best offensive games of the season, but they still managed to choke away a late lead. This was their 4th straight loss, officially eliminated them from the playoff contention. So the Jets are officially out of the playoffs. They had breakdowns on offense, defense, special teams, and resulted in another loss. And Jets are 0-7 in games decided by 6 or fewer points. So, but on the bright side, Breolin, Allen, and then Isaiah Davis, they both delivered as dual threats. They combined for 148 yards from scrimmage. Davis scored for the second straight week after being a main factor for the first 11 games. So this stuff was looking pretty light for him, for Isaiah Davis. And they did that without Breece Hall. That's pretty good. So that's nothing they can carry on to next season. And then that's about it. Yeah, that's nothing else to talk about in that game. So the Dolphins' next game is against the Texans, and the Jets' next game is against the Jaguars. Then we got the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and Las Vegas Raiders. I said that the Buccaneers was going to beat the Raiders 28-10. I was pretty close in this game. The Buccaneers beat the Raiders 28-13. That was another game I was almost spot on. Let's see here. Let's see here. Baker Mayfield, he struggled with zone coverages. He was 7 of 13, 84 yards, 2 touchdowns, and an interception on passes for 5 or fewer air yards. 54% completion percentage on those throws is tied for the lowest with the Bucs. With today's victory in the Falcons' loss, the Bucs now have a 71% chance to make the playoffs. 71% chance. That's pretty high. That's pretty good. The Raiders, they came into this game averaging just 3.7 yards per carry, which is dead in the NFL. But, however, the Raiders running back, Sincere McCormick, he averaged 5.2 yards per carry with particular success against the Buccaneers. So the Buccaneers are showing they cannot stop the run. That's bad. I mean, you're going to make the playoffs, but you're not going to be able to stop the run. I mean, you let an unknown running back run, you have 5.2 yards per carry on you. That's not good. And the Raiders, they had a dead last rushing attack in the NFL, but they came and ran on you. That's something that you're going to have to fix. Jalen McMillan, he led the Bucs with 2 touchdowns catches after his last touchdown came in week 1. So outside of Mike Evans, that's good that McMillan, he stepped up. And Sterling Shepard, he helped too with 4 catches for 63 yards. All right. Let's see here. Is there anything else to talk about? The Raiders, they trailed 14-0 before the offense took their 4th snap. And 3 first-half takeaways by the defense kept Las Vegas within striking range. The team trailed by just 4 points at halftime and were to receive the ball to start the second half. Let's see. Sincere McCormick, he was mostly on the practice squad. He was a practice squad player. Now he's looking more like a running back, the starting running back for the Raiders. He took advantage of those injuries, and he rushed for career best 78 yards, 14 carries. That's pretty solid. The Raiders' next game is against the Falcons. All right, let's move on. So now we got Tennessee Titans and the Jacksonville Jaguars. This is the last game. All right, I said that the Titans was going to win this game 24-21. 24-21 is what I said the Titans was going to win this game, and they lost. Surprisingly, they lost. They lost to the Jags. The Jags beat them 10-6. I was all wrong about this game. I don't know where I was thinking about them, both of those teams scoring that high. So, does this game prove that Doug Peterson hasn't lost the locker room? Who knows? I don't know. Let's see here. Is there anything to go off against this game? Brian Thomas Jr. finally got involved in the third quarter, and the offense finally produced points. Thomas didn't get his first catch until 4 minutes and 24 seconds remaining in the third quarter. He had no catches on 3 targets until that point, and then he had touched the ball on 4 consecutive plays. He's the offensive best player, and he needs to be involved more earlier, of course. Let's see here. Trevor Lawrence is out for the season, so he's, they rallied from a 6-0 deficit with 10 points in the fourth quarter. Yeah, so maybe he didn't lose a locker room. Doug Peterson. Maybe Doug Peterson hasn't lost his job. Mac Jones threw 2 interceptions, but he showed the ability to bounce back in the fourth quarter when he led the Jaguars to 10 points, which that included a 31-yard hookup with Thomas on a broken play in which Jones had to scramble out of trouble. Jones had managed just 13 points combined in his first 2 starts, so this is progress. In his audition for a chance to compete for a starting, I don't think he's going to compete for a starting spot with Trevor Lawrence, but I don't even think Trevor Lawrence is that good of a quarterback. But Mac Jones, he's not going to compete. This shouldn't be a competition with that. No, Mac Jones is garbage. He's terrible. He's worse than Trevor Lawrence. Trevor Lawrence is just an average quarterback. Mac Jones is garbage. Like, that's just, no. Do not have no starting job even for Mac Jones. Don't do that with Mac Jones, Trevor Lawrence. If we're gonna do that, I mean, I don't know if you have a chance to get Cam Ward or Shador, get that to have them compete against Trevor, not freaking Mac Jones. That's just dumb. Let's see here. There's nothing really to talk about for the Titans, but yeah. So the Jaguars, their next game is against the Jets. The Titans' next game is against the Bengals. All right, and that is it. That is it, man. So, yeah, pretty exciting Week 14. The Week 14 is in the books. Monday Night Football is over with. Bengals and Cowboys. So I'll see you all. I'm gonna look forward to doing a video tomorrow. You know, talk about some stuff, more stuff about, you know, heading on to Week 15. The NFL season is almost over, and you know, until the Bears is officially out of the playoffs, I kind of low key already gave my NFC team, my backup team for the Bears. You know, for, which team is going to go to the Super Bowl for the NFC. I kind of already mentioned the Vikings, so I'll just go ahead and say the Vikings. If the Bears doesn't go, but we'll see. I thank you all so much for watching, man, and I appreciate you all. And you know, we got.